having power and control to be creative, to be flexible, and to have fun with how you do this, right? And so she talked about a lot of like the really good foundational things as we think about these things. But I want to ask you, as those educators, that you're bringing this into your classroom, how can we inspire those richly literate lives, which is the purpose of using reading and writing workshops? But typically speaking, helping kids to kind of set goals for themselves within engagement is a very powerful thing. And once again, my favorite thing being Post-it notes for my kids, that even after doing some mindful reading, really we're still struggling to be engaged. The first step is, what are the books that you're reading, and is this something that you're interested in? The next step might be kind of helping them to select and give them a little bit of priority of where they read, right? And where in the classroom, kind of, personalizing their reading space. Another thing that was very interesting to me was how some students would choose on their own to continue this. Weeks after I would ask them to do this, or they would do it at home as well. And one of the discoveries that they made was that I have less tally marks of being distracted in school and a lot more at home. And so, regardless of whether or not you're teaching kindergarten or regardless of whether or not you're teaching second grade, and she went on to say high school, right? That these are replicable goals and strategies that we are using for our students, and these methods are the ways that we kind of drive that before we read, right? And so then she introduced something new today. So there was a little bit of activating that prior knowledge, and then she went into talking about what strong readers do, but that when they find a problem, that then they make more predictions. And so this is when we were talking about taking 7 to 8 minutes to read a book, that obviously this is why, because this is the thinking. She's helping them to understand the thinking that goes into reading. If you realize when she was kind of putting in place some of those turn and talks, she was moving herself around listening, and that was almost kind of like, a mid-workshop teaching point, or just an opportunity for her to say, I hear a lot of people making these predictions, but what they're not doing is they're not saying how they think this is going to happen. And understanding that when we understand, the building blocks of comprehension and sort of that learning progression, that by 3rd and 4th grade, they're going to be expected to supply that evidence, right? And even when we saw that poster that she had hanging up in the classroom, it talked about, I think this because. So it's almost like she was giving them an opportunity to practice what eventually they were going to be putting onto their Post-it notes. And talking about reading with expression and excitement. So out of all of these things, we know that some of these were kind of that prior knowledge, things that they obviously had done before, but today her teaching point was that good readers or strong readers stop and make a prediction when they find the problem, right? And so kind of thinking about how we use our assessment to sort of identify the needs in our students and in our classroom, and identify those goals to then be able to drive our instruction, whether that's going to be one-to-one, or whether that's going to be small group, or whether that's going to be something that we decide to do as a mini lesson, right? And so that as we think about that kind of hierarchy of skills, we can't expect a student to be able to synthesize. We can't expect a student to do those higher order thinking skills if they're not engaged, right? And so we need to solve that problem first and foremost. And a really great time to kind of identify those students is during that launching time. When you're working on building that stamina, it's a really great time to be able to kind of create this engagement inventory, have them do a little bit of work on their reading identity, and then being able to really identify those kids that you need to get to. Those are some of your first strategy groups that you're probably going to be pulling, because of the fact that in order for you to have that successful year, the best it can be, these are the things that we need to fix up.